This week's episode of Rebels was a pretty light-hearted bottle episode, mostly about Zeb and AP5. I think some fans will consider it to be another filler episode, and I can kinda see why, but I would 100% argue against that. And even if it was a far better episode than the Winkathu Job or Iron Squadron. The episode starts with an homage to The Empire Strikes Back, as a Star Destroyer sends out probe droids in search of the Rebel base. The shots, the music, and some of the lines are lifted from the movie, like a rebel mentioning possible meteor activity, or Agent Kallus saying they can't go chasing after every little lead. Of course, he's just making up an excuse to not find the rebel base. This time, the Empire's recon droids are called infiltrators, and they're not the same probe droids that we're familiar with. Meanwhile, Zeb is left in charge of the base while the rest of the crew go on a training exercise. Wedge and Hobby are also going, and they're definitely in A-Wing pilot gear, which lines up with Wedge's statements he made in the book Aftermath about his early Rebel jobs. Zeb comes across the infiltrator droid, which had been damaged by the Krykna spiders, and he decides to bring it to the base, which is a stupid decision, but I would say the writers handle it well. Zeb fails to notice that the droid killed 2 Krykna spiders in the process of it being damaged, and both Chopper and AP5 tell him it's not a good idea to bring it back to the base. Of course, the infiltrator droid activates and turns out to be much more dangerous than a simple protocol droid. By the way, its design, which we've already seen used a few times in Rebels, is based after Ralph McQuarrie concept art for C-3PO, and Zeb is based on McQuarrie concepts for Chewie. So if you think about it, it's like Chewbacca and 3PO were duking it out. Zeb disables it, and they're warned by Kallus that if they don't allow it to report back to the Empire, they will come looking for it. So Zeb sends it back with its self-destruct active so that it blows up in Imperial possession. Kallus is all impressed by that idea, but what if he were on that ship that blew up? So the main point of this episode was to explore Zeb a little more. He gets a chance to prove to himself and others that he's more than just the muscle of the team. AP5 makes several disparaging remarks about his intelligence early on, and it's technically Zeb's fault that the base is nearly compromised to begin with, but it's also his quick thinking that solves their problem. I liked the conundrum of needing to keep the droid alive so the Empire wouldn't come looking without allowing it to reveal their location, and Zeb's solution was a cool one. What I like about Zeb's arc is that there were consequences for his actions. It's played fairly comically, but when Hera returns, it's clear she's not going to be pleased that he let the droid in the base. His questionable decisions were treated like questionable decisions, and Zeb doesn't get a pass just because the plot demanded that they be made. Like I said before, I could see people complaining that it's a filler episode, but I don't agree with that at all. It moves the plot along plenty. While Zeb was able to successfully hide the specific location of their base, Thrawn now knows that they have to be on one of the 94 systems where he sent those droids. So he can narrow his search from thousands of systems down to less than 100. And that's enough for me. And I like that Thrawn is the one making that connection. It's not the most impressive deduction made, but hey, it's a kid's show. And it's a good balance between normal Imperial intelligence on Rebels and the almost superhuman levels of deduction he often had in the Thrawn trilogy books. I think we're building towards a major attack on the Atollon base, and I also think we're going to see Thrawn using some of his classic Legends tactics, and I'm specifically talking about the Thrawn pincer, which involves using interdictor cruisers to pull Star Destroyers out of hyperspace right on top of their target. Speaking of Legends, and this has shown up before, I just haven't discussed it, but the artwork on Thrawn's Star Destroyer is a reference to its name, the Chimera, which was the name of his command ship in Legends as well. That's about all I have to say about this episode's plot and my guesses on the future, but I want to mention how impressed I was with some of the more minor details of this episode. Like the infiltrator droid's countdown still dripping with melting ice, or Zeb's reflection in AP5's visor, or the fact that when Zeb was driving his landspeeder, he had one of those devices that keep the Krykna spiders away, and we saw the spiders around. I'm just becoming increasingly impressed by the animation and the added level of detail on this show. One last thing I want to mention, and this could just be because I have Dark Forces on the mind, but when the infiltrator droid was in combat mode, it reminded me a lot of the Phase 1 Dark Trooper. The sentry droids from earlier this season were said to be modeled after the Phase 2 Dark Trooper, and I wonder if the Infiltrator had some similar inspiration. Although the Infiltrator seemed to be more formidable than the sentry droid, and was straight up scary when it was cannibalizing other droids at the base. But that's it for today. If you want to see my other Rebels reviews, you can check out this playlist here. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and consider checking out my Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.